Hi, hope you're having a great day, you're feeling fine, and you're with people you love. And I hope they love you back. Give them a nice hug. And we're going to go talk about the Darrell Brooks trial. And one of the problems Darrell Brooks had was evidence, how to get his items into evidence. Well, initially, evidence must be okayed by the judge and the opposing attorneys. So they get to see what evidence you want to put in to the trial. They have a ability to check to see if the evidence is relevant for the trial and if it is probative. They don't want anything that's going to be too prejudicial or anything else that might throw the case off. So they get to check it out first. If it's okayed, then you get to introduce the evidence. And I'm going to show you how they introduce evidence in this particular case.
As to 162A, Mr. Brooks, any position on that?
Yeah, I object. I haven't even seen it, first of all. And second of all, again, for the record.
Mr. Brooks, I'm just dealing only with the exhibit.
I'm going to start a little bit before that.
Darrell Brooks, case number 21 CF 1848. Appearances, please.
Zach Witchow.
Sir, state your name for the record, please.
I'm here as a third-party intervener in this matter. As authorized representative for my client, I accept for value and return for value all of the charging instruments in this matter and make my exemption available for discharge of all obligations and charges connected with this case. I do not dispute any of the facts in the charging instruments. And for the record, I do not consent to or agree to being called that name that you have identified here today.
So for appearances, he's just supposed to verify
that the individual
that he's in the
this
court.
As Darrell Brooks is present in person, in custody, in street clothes, specifically a suit and tie and a mask. I just also want to make a record quickly that a number of documents were left by Mr. Brooks in the holding area just outside the courtroom. They have been put on his desk today. It's all of the autopsy protocols that were provided to him yesterday, the hard copies, that is, the diagrams that were presented in court related to those protocols, and a copy of the pretrial offer. So I just wanted to make that record. Hold on, not right yet, please. So I have been advised that all of the jurors are here and ready to go. I presume the state has available its next witness.
Yes.
We'd also move state's exhibit 162A into evidence.
As to 162A, Mr. Brooks, any position on that?
Yeah, I object. I haven't even seen it, first of all. And second of all, again, for the record.
Mr. Brooks, I'm just dealing only with the exhibit right now. Sorry for the interruption, but I need to do that without interruption from you. 162A was a screen capture that related to an annotation that a witness made. I believe that was during witness number 34. Yes, that was Mr. Hallmark. And so based upon that, exhibit 162A is received, and I will so advise the jury when they come in. Sir, I'm not going to address any preliminary matters at this point. I've already addressed a number of things yesterday. The jury is to be brought out.
No, there was some things that we discussed about the paperwork from yesterday.
We'll take that up on a break. You can look over it and you can make a note and pass it to
I've
my
already
clerk.
looked over it, Your Honor. With all respect, I think there's some things.
Mr. Brooks, I'm not gonna deal with it right now.
It
It's
needs-
paperwork. I just wanted it notated that you left it and now it's being provided to you again.
I'm not referring to that paperwork.
I'm not dealing with the paperwork from the clerk of court's office either. I am not the custodian. We're gonna bring the jury out.
Okay, but she should know that she's trying to.
Mr. Brooks,
get me to pay.
stop. I
She's
am
trying
not
to get me to pay
addressing it.
something. It has to be addressed, Your
All right,
Honor,
I'm
because
gonna
if I
take
don't-
a quick break and make sure the jury's ready and
If
we'll
I don't,
remove the
if I don't
bench.
address it now, once again, not addressing the subject matter jurisdiction yet again.
Procedural, just, yeah.
All rise.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, while you were not with us, the state moved Exhibit 162A and I did receive it. With that, who do we have on the witness stand?
The state calls Assistant Chief Craig Learman.
All right, sir, would you please stand and raise your right hand and my clerk Teresa will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please be seated. Sir, the first thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
Sure. First. And did you have any family members participating in the parade?
I did not.
Where were you standing or observing the parade?
I was standing on West Main Street, very near the intersection of Maple, just to the west of Maple.
Do you know if you were on the north side or the south side of Main Street?
I was on the south side of Main Street.
Can we please put up for the jury exhibit number 15, which has previously been received and published?
Overruled.
So this is old evidence that's already been put into the court, and this person is a person who was at the parade, so has some personal knowledge
Quadrant here.
of the parade.
Do you recognize the area on the map that you're looking at?
Yes.
What does it depict?
It's a map of the parade route. Christmas parade route.
Could you draw a little X for us, if you can find where you were standing with your family?
Overruled.
Do you want me to go up and touch the map? Is that how
Oh,
it
the
works, or-
screen in front of you, I'm sorry, the screen in front of you is a
Okay.
touch screen, you can use your finger.
Sure. Okay.
Overruled.
That would be right, basically right there, just west of the intersection with Maple by maybe 20 to 50 feet.
Okay, southwest corner, Maple and Main.
Yes.
We can clear that then, please. Could we now please display for the jury Exhibit 56, which has also been previously received and published?
This is more old evidence he's bringing up.
This is an exhibit has already been received into evidence. It's obviously a diagram of the intersection we're talking about. Do you recognize this intersection?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes, I do.
And could you point out for us by, again, drawing a little X where you and your family were standing?
Yes. It would be approximately right here.
Okay. So again, southwest corner of Maple and Main.
Yes.
Do you recall what happened? We can take that down, please. Do you recall what happened at approximately 4:39 p.m. that Sunday afternoon?
Objection.
Overruled.
Yes.
Can you tell us?
Sure. Standing at that location, the parade was coming from my right to my left, so from the east to the west. There was a break in the parade in front of me. To my right was the Milwaukee Dancing Grannies. To my left was a group from the Catholic community of Waukesha, and there was a break in the parade right in front of me, an opening. I heard the crowd become more excited than normal. So I felt like something was coming, but I didn't know what. Didn't know if it was a unusual parade thing or what, but people became more excited, so it kind of grabbed my attention. Then I realized something wasn't quite right. I could see a vehicle traveling from the east to the west. At first I could only see the top portion of the vehicle from maybe the windshield up, because there was people obviously standing along the route, so they kind of obstructed my view. But I could see that the vehicle was traveling at a much faster rate than any of the other participants, so clearly something was wrong.
Could you describe the vehicle for us?
At first I could only tell that it was probably like an SUV, because of, again, my vision was obstructed by the people that were standing watching the parade. As I got closer, I could see that it was a red Ford Escape SUV.
What happened as the SUV got closer to you?
As it got closer to me, I could hear that the engine was revving very high. The RPMs were much higher than normal, almost like it was maybe in the wrong gear, or there was something mechanically wrong with it. It was revving, like I said, revving much higher than a typical car. It definitely grabbed your attention.
Okay, what happened next?
As I got closer, I could hear something which I didn't know if it was like the engine sputtering, or I didn't really know what it was. Again, kind of unusual. But then as I got closer, I could see that it was, again, traveling at a high rate of speed. I was concerned at that point in time that either there's some sort of mechanical issue with the car possibly, or maybe some parade participant was having a medical emergency, but the vehicle was clearly not under control in relation to everything else that was going on.
How close did the SUV get to you?
As it passed me, it came more towards my side of the street, so it would have been traveling essentially west in what would be the eastbound lanes normally. So when it passed by me, it was very close, probably maybe 10 feet away at most.
Were there parking spaces in front of you where you were standing?
I believe there were, yes.
Do you recall if the vehicle passed through the parking spaces in front of you at all?
Objection, revocation.
Overruled.
Yes.
Could you describe the lighting conditions at that time? What were the sunlight, street lights, things like that?
It was, if I remember correctly, it was getting to be towards dusk. I don't believe the street lights were on at that point in time, but it was getting darker, but it was still, like I said, I would describe it as maybe dusk, slightly before that.
How good of a look did you get at the driver?
A very good look.
Can you describe, or can you give us a physical description of what you remember?
I remember the driver being a light-skinned male black, approximately mid-30s, mid to late 30s. Had very facial hair and what I would describe as like dreadlocks. Longer hair.
What was the driver doing as he passed you?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
As he was driving by, the window was open. He stuck his head and actually like the upper portion of his body out the driver's window and looked back behind him.
The window you're talking about, which window is that?
It would be the driver's window.
And he actually stuck his head out the window.
Objection, leading the witness.
Overruled. He may answer.
Correct, to the point where it crossed my mind he actually may fall out. That's how far out I perceived him to be.
What direction was the driver looking when he stuck his head out the window?
He was looking behind him.
From the direction that he had come from?
Correct.
What happened next?
At that point when he looked back and then he kind of turned towards the front, based on his body language, my heart kind of sank because I felt like what I thought could be maybe a medical emergency or something like that. To me, it clearly, I felt like it was an intentional act, so that obviously upset me a little bit. And
Now, he has given the determination that this was intentional, but that is a decision for the jury to make, not for a police officer who was coming in as a witness. So using that term,
the driver, after he had leaned back,
is a little awkward because that is one of the decisions that the jury has to make after the evidence has been given. I'm going to play that again.
SUV, because of, again, my vision was obstructed by the people that were standing watching the parade. As I got closer, I could see that it was a red Ford Escape SUV.
What happened as the SUV got closer to you?
As it got closer to me, I could hear that the engine was revving very high. The RPMs were much higher than normal, almost like it was maybe in the wrong gear or there was something mechanically wrong with it. It was revving, like I said, revving much higher than a typical car. It definitely grabbed your attention.
Okay, what happened next?
As I got closer, I could hear something which I didn't know if it was like the engine sputtering or I didn't really know what it was. Again, kind of unusual. But then as I got closer, I could see that it was, again, traveling at a high rate of speed. I was concerned at that point in time that either there was some sort of mechanical issue with the car possibly, or maybe some parade participant was having a medical emergency, but the vehicle was clearly not under control in relation to everything else that was going on.
How close did the SUV get to you?
As it passed me, it came more towards my side of the street, so it would have been traveling essentially west in what would be the eastbound lanes normally. So when it passed by me, it was very close, probably maybe 10 feet away at most.
Were there parking spaces in front of you where you were standing?
I believe there were, yes.
Do you recall if the vehicle passed through the parking spaces in front of you at all?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
Yes.
Could you describe the lighting conditions at that time? What were the sunlight, street lights, things like that?
It was, if I remember correctly, it was getting to be towards dusk. I don't believe the street lights were on at that point in time, but it was getting darker, but it was still, like I said, I would describe it as maybe dusk, slightly before that.
How good of a look did you get at the driver?
A very good look.
Can you describe, or can you give us a physical description of what you remember?
I remember the driver being a light-skinned male black, approximately mid-30s, mid to late 30s. Had very facial hair and what I would describe as like dreadlocks. He was looking behind him.
From the direction that he had come from?
Correct.
What happened next?
At that point, when he looked back and then he kind of turned towards the front, based on his body language, my heart kind of sank because I felt like what I thought could be maybe a medical emergency or something like that. To me, it clearly, I felt like it was an intentional act, so that obviously upset me a little bit. And
So not only intentional,
the driver, after he had to
clearly
lean back,
intentional.
he turned forward, he grabbed the steering wheel, he pulled himself up off the seat and cranked the steering wheel to the right.
So let the record reflect that the witness used both hands at the 10 and 2 position to simulate the driver's hands on the steering wheel.
Objection to that.
Overruled, the record will reflect.
What happened as the driver cranked the steering wheel to the right?
Unfortunately, when he did that, he essentially steered the vehicle across the parade route at a diagonal angle directly through a group of people that were walking with the Catholic community of Waukesha.
Based on your memory of where those people were in the road and the SUV's path of travel, what would have happened if the SUV had simply maintained a straight path instead of veering to the right?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled, he may answer.
I believe that there was a gap between where the Catholic community from Waukesha were standing and the parade spectators. So there should have been an open alleyway if he would have went straight.
What happened next?
Unfortunately, when he drove through that group, he struck many of them, a lot of them kind of bouncing off the hood, and some of them, unfortunately, actually ran over. I could see people come out from underneath the vehicle.
Did you see the vehicle at any point attempt to strike the word attempt? Did you at any point see the vehicle slow down?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled.
No, not at all.
Did you see brake lights?
No, none.
Did you hear a horn honking?
Nope, not at all.
I'd like to put up for the witness only, please, exhibit number 133.
And now he's going to introduce evidence. He has shown this man has personal knowledge.
5-second clip. Cleared now. We're going to just play it for you once. Let me know if you recognize what you're looking at after you watch it, okay?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Okay.
So only the witness can see this evidence.
You recognize that clip?
Yes.
What does it depict?
That depicts the red Ford Escape traveling through the closed parade route.
And he
from the
verifies what it
east of
shows.
Maple through that intersection with Maple on Main Street.